I am 83 years old, and for most of my life I treated my body like a machine, something that was supposed to work no matter what I asked of it. I didn't listen to it. I pushed it, and when it complained, I silenced it. I don't say that with pride. I say it because it's the truth, an uncomfortable one. When I was younger, I never thought about my body as something that needed care. It was just there. It carried me from one day to the next, and I assumed it always would. If it hurt, I found a way to push through. If it slowed down, I got angry at it, like it was failing me instead of warning me. I grew up in a time when you didn't talk about these things. You didn't say you were tired. You didn't say something hurt. You showed up, you did your work, you kept quiet. That was what being responsible looked like. I learned early that rest was something you earned, and even then, you didn't take too much of it. There was always something else that needed doing, someone else counting on you. So I carried that mindset into adulthood, into work, into marriage, into parenthood. I told myself my body was strong, that it could handle it, that slowing down was for later. Most of my days followed the same pattern, an alarm ringing too early, a body that felt stiff but still moved, a cup of coffee to wake me up, not because I enjoyed it, but because I needed it. Then straight into the day. I didn't stretch. I didn't pause. I didn't ask myself how I felt. I just moved from one task to the next like I was checking boxes. Pain became background noise. A sore back, a tight neck, hands that ached when I gripped tools or paperwork. I noticed it, but I didn't listen. I took something for it and kept going. Sleep was the first thing I sacrificed. 4 hours, some nights, 5 if I was lucky. I told myself I didn't need more. I even bragged about it sometimes, like being exhausted meant I was doing something right. Meals were rushed, standing at the counter, eating in the car, whatever was quick enough to get me moving again. Food wasn't something to enjoy. It was fuel. My body tried to slow me down. Quietly at first, a knee that didn't feel right when I climbed stairs. A sharp pull in my side when I lifted something heavy. A tiredness that sat deeper than usual. I ignored all of it. I told myself everyone felt this way, that this was just part of being an adult, part of being useful. Years passed like that. Workdays blurred together. Weekends were not for rest, but for catching up, fixing things, running errands, doing all the things I didn't have time for during the week. Even when I had time off, I didn't really rest. I stayed busy. I didn't know how to sit still without feeling guilty. If I wasn't doing something, I felt like I was wasting time. There were moments when my body spoke louder. A morning where getting out of bed took longer than usual. A night where sleep wouldn't come no matter how tired I was. A pain that didn't fade by the afternoon. Those moments annoyed me. They felt like interruptions, inconveniences I didn't have time for, so I treated them the same way. Something to get past. I remember standing in the bathroom one morning, looking at myself in the mirror. My face looked older than I felt. My shoulders were slumped. My eyes were tired. I noticed it for a second. Then I turned away and went on with my day. I told myself I would take care of myself later, when work slowed down, when things were more stable, when there was more time. But time doesn't slow down just because you ask it to. And bodies don't wait forever. Little by little, things changed. I needed more effort to do the same tasks. I felt drained before the day was even halfway done. The pills I used to take once in a while became part of the routine. I didn't think of it as a problem. I thought of it as being practical, as doing what needed to be done. Looking back now, I can see how disconnected I was from myself. I lived in my responsibilities, in my schedule, in what was expected of me. My body was just something that followed along until it started falling behind. And I still didn't understand what it was trying to tell me. At first, I told myself it was just age catching up with me, that everyone slows down eventually. I used that thought to avoid looking deeper. But something inside me had already shifted. I noticed how often I sat down without meaning to, how silence felt heavier than before, how even small movements required planning. One evening I was alone in the living room. The lights were low, the house was quiet. I had been sitting in the same chair for a long time, not doing anything at all. When I tried to stand up, a sharp pain moved through my side and down my leg. I sat back down without thinking. I wasn't frightened. I was tired. Tired in a way that felt settled, like it had been waiting for me. I remember looking around the room. Nothing special, the same furniture, the same walls. But something felt different. It occurred to me that my body was no longer keeping pace with the life I had built. That was the moment I finally understood. Not all at once, not dramatically, just a quiet clarity. I had spent decades treating my body like something separate from me, like a tool I used instead of a part of who I was. I realized I had never asked it what it needed, only what it could still give. After that night, I started noticing things I had ignored for years. How my breathing changed when I climbed stairs, how my hands shook slightly when I was tired, how sleep didn't come easily anymore, no matter how exhausted I felt. I also noticed how irritable I had become, not because I was angry at people, because my body was worn down and my patience went with it. I spoke less, listened less. I didn't have the energy I once did. There were moments I missed, simple ones, conversations that passed by while I sat there, distracted by discomfort, time with family where I was present in the room but absent in myself. That is what hurts the most now. Not the pain, the distance. I lost a certain ease with life, the ability to move without thinking, to wake up and feel ready, to sit through an evening without counting the minutes. I don't feel sorry for myself when I say this. I understand how I got here. I made choices based on what I believed mattered at the time. But I do feel a quiet regret. Not for working hard, not for showing up for others, but for never showing up for my own body. I asked everything from it and offered very little in return. Now at this age, my days are slower. I plan my movements. I rest without needing an excuse. I listen more closely. And I think about how different things might have felt if I had learned this earlier. If I'm allowed to speak to you directly for a moment, this is what I want to say. Your body is not something to push through life. It is something you live inside of. It keeps track of every night you don't sleep, every pain you ignore, every time you tell it to wait. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do everything right. Just don't treat your body like it owes you endless service. Rest when you are tired, not when you can no longer stand. Sleep when your body asks, not when your schedule finally allows it. Pay attention to small signals. They are not inconveniences. They are quiet requests. You can still work hard. You can still care for others, but include yourself in that care. I learned this late, later than I would have liked. But learning late is better than never learning at all. These days, I move slower. I sit longer. I listen to what my body is telling me, not with frustration, but with respect. I can't change how I lived before. I've made peace with that. Those years are gone. But I can speak honestly now, and maybe that honesty reaches someone who still has time. That thought brings me some comfort. That's where my story rests.